I just want to give you a bit of an insight into the AFL Enjoyers team. We're a bunch of unique individuals, Matsa, Sfenda, and Dean. We're going to engage with our minds and our hearts. We're going to exchange ideas, thoughts, and even our energy. And to speak from your heart, you need to have courage. You need to be honest and authentic. We're not always going to get it right, and sometimes you're not going to agree with us. But that's okay, because just like you, we care. Just like you, we're passionate about the game. So if you want to come along for the ride, join us at the AFL Enjoyers podcast, because we really enjoy the footy. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the AFL Enjoyers podcast. My name is Dean, joined once again by the boys, fellow enjoyers of the AFL, James Matsa, and a very happy George Sfenda.
Don't put words in my mouth.
The Blues won, George. You're not happy?
No, I wanted them to lose.
For the pod.
No, I just didn't want them to win, man. I want that first round draft pick.
So they're kicking 9 goals in a row.
Now we're going to play finals. Like, it's ridiculous.
So the 9th and 10th goals in a row coming, you're just like, fuck, bloody Carlton.
Yeah, look, I'll get into it in the Carlton section, but yeah, anyway, it is what it is. They had to,
we won.
We had to win eventually, man. You can't lose like 7 games in a row. Like just mathematically, like
yeah,
it just had to happen.
Get a load of this guy. I'm not happy with the win, Matsa. Look at the arrogance of him.
I know, man. I know.
Unbelievable. Well, look, before we get into the round review, as usual, we've got a listener question from a good friend of the pod, our boy Nick, who says, what is the best number in the AFL? Now, I guess that can be interpreted in a few ways. From my point of view, it's what are the famous numbers? I've picked out a few clubs that have a number that was born by a few of their, let's say, club champions. So maybe I'll leave it with you boys first if you've got a few off the bat. Otherwise, I've got a couple prepared.
See, this one, numbers are personal for me. And for me, the 29, it's obvious, the Boomer Harvey represents him. But when I was a kid, I had him as my favourite player. And then my favourite players outside of North Melbourne were also number 29. You guys want to have a quick guess?
Gary Ablett?
Yes.
Ooh.
And who was the other one? Number 29 from a Perth team.
I actually, when I played for Ormond, was number 29. So
there you go. My other favourite player was George.
Four favourite 29.
What was I doing playing in Perth in the juniors?
No, it was Matthew Pavlich was also number 29.
Oh, true, Pav, yeah.
So, those guys were, my 3 favourite players were number 29, so hard to go past that
Considering it's kind of an ordinary number, like typically you associate like the gun players with like the, the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s.
Yeah.
So actually quite a famous jumper, 29.
Even now, Will Phillips wears it for us, representing,
Next in line.
Yeah, exactly, man. He was our highest draft pick for ages at that time. So, yeah. Yourself, Georgie?
I've always liked the lower numbers. I mean, number 3 to me has always kind of been like the number 1 draft pick number. Like if you're a gun, just give them the number 3 or give them the 5. I don't really have like a favorite number or associate, a number with a player or anything like that. But if I was to play, I'd take number 6 after Cade Simpson because he's skinny and small like me. So I say, I don't know, it just suits me. And it's also the number that I played futsal in too as well. So.
Hey,
true,
shout out futsal, man.
But I think when you
the 3 games you played of futsal,
I think it might have been 4. One of them I broke my toe. So yeah, but I think you do associate like your favorite numbers with the players. Right? But typically, best numbers, for whatever reason, the lower numbers seem to be the ones that the best players end up getting. The draft picks coming to the team. I think number 9 is quite a strong number. If you talk about players like Jack Steele, Cripps, Neil, all wear the number 9 at the moment. So I don't know, maybe there's some power in that.
Might have to get Steele off your list there, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, well, historically he's been alright.
Yeah, no,
not
true.
this year.
Fair enough, man.
Do you know?
So yeah, obviously 29, like Matsa, Boomer was on my jersey growing up, but I had a look at the league, so I did a bit of an internet search before the pod, and I think 35 at the Pies has a good shout. So the original Peter Dacos.
True.
And then for a while, after Prestigiacomo, it was handed to the best rookie each year. So a lot of their good young players have worn that number. And then obviously Dacos has just made it his own now, Nick Dacos. So I think that'll go down as a pretty famous number throughout the generations. And then some interesting ones here. So number 3 at the Hawks. Recently, Jordan Lewis wasn't the best player in the premiership teams, but by no means a passenger. Like he was a very key cog in their 4 premierships. But then Lee Matthews wore that as well at the Hawks back in the day. So bit of history there.
Number 3, there you go.
Number 3, so yep. And then here's an interesting one. 16 at Port. Ollie Wines, Brownlow medalist.
Yeah, that's the Treadray number.
Treadray, leader in their first premiership back in, what was it, 04?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, you know your stuff.
I know my stuff, mate. I did not prepare at all. So, yeah, I think just a few famous numbers there. I think every team's got a number that a couple of their famous players have had.
For Carlton, like the number one, the Silvanis or all that.
Yep.
So Jack wears that now in honor of his father and grandfather. So yeah, you're right. Every club will probably have more famous numbers worn by different players. I think someone like an Adam Chera, at the moment, he's shaved his head like he is Judd. And he's playing a bit like Judd too, number 5. So I don't know.
True.
Maybe the number does give some power to the player.
Hey, man. Fair enough. Got to give the number 5 to a few more players on your team. Maybe 55, 555.
That's it.
Fair enough. No, thanks, Nick, for your question. Keep asking them, everybody. If you've got some, just...
What's the worst number? Is it 50 for Ben Brown? Is 50 the worst number?
It is a weird number. It is a weird number.
Best player with the worst number, probably, yeah. Because there's guys like young players that have high numbers, but someone that's been a pretty relevant player, that's a pretty horrible one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the ones like 39, you start to get those sort of big, ugly numbers.
Yeah, you just give him
You know what I mean?
whatever's just like the random jersey on the floor. Yeah, take this, kid.
Is it,
Exactly.
Darcy Wilmot's got, is it 44 now?
He's 44.
I don't mind 44 as much because it's a double number.
He's rising star, Wilmot.
He is, yeah.
Did he win this week? Oh, it's good, man.
Friend of the pod, Darcy Wilmot.
Yeah,
Good
shout
boy.
out to Darcy, man.
What number is Zerha? Is he 44?
He's 44 as well.
That's not that bad of a number.
Yeah, I don't mind 44 too much.
There's always some obscure ones that actually,
So we like the double high number, but not...
But not like 43 or 40. Actually, but I feel like there's been good 43s as
Kuda.
well. Kuda was 43.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know,
Kuda
man. I
Kudas.
don't know. Is there any bad numbers? I don't know.
I think 50 plus is bad.
Yeah.
I think like even like Rowell and Sam Walsh both at 18, both number 1 draft picks.
Yeah, 18's a good number. 18's that's Wayne
I
Carey's
actually I don't like 18 as a
Wayne
number.
Carey was 18 and
Yeah,
that was he
true.
was the boss back in the day.
I know, but it's ugly.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
You haven't seen the king gliding in the air, mate.
That's it.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, thanks for the question, Nick. Keep asking them, everybody, as well. Just message us on Insta or Twitter or wherever, Facebook as well, or just DM us like Nick did. So that can work as well.
Slide in that DMs.
Slide in the DMs. Cool. So into the round, boys. So the Power, 11 games in a row. We keep saying it's going to end. How is it still going? But they've done it again, the Power.
Footy's easy, mate. Just keep winning.
Apparently
Simple.
so.
No, it can't be that hard to be decent at football. And Port Adelaide, they know exactly what they're doing, man.
Nice
They know
callback,
exactly.
mate.
That's it, man. Oh man. They're doing their thing, man. They're doing their thing. Houston rocked up. He had a good game. Finlayson's in great form.
They just got a well-balanced team, I think. It doesn't
do.
have any obvious weaknesses, does it?
Well, they're keeping out their captain as well, Tom Jonas. He hasn't had games. Ryan Burton, another really key player, has missed games as well due to just not really fitting in the team at certain points.
Speaking of Houston, just bringing his name up again just reminded me. Another player who was a smaller defender that became a really good midfielder, Rory Laird. Do we think Houston can hit another level in the coming years? Or is this sort of a good spot for him?
He's playing really good football.
He's playing great football.
And I think I had a look at his kind of where he's playing in the ground. And since round 6, he's moved significantly up the field. His backline time is reduced. And he's playing midfield and then mid-forward type of role. So like not necessarily a massive possession game, but like a really heavy inside 50 role, high score involvements role, and a little bit of midfield time with clearances as well. So he's become like quite an attacking player. And I think he's a little bit underrated in the midfield mix for Port.
I agree. I mean, we talk about the young midfield brigade, like obviously it's stars of the comp already, like Rozzy, Butters, JHF, still developing, but obviously we know how good he is. And then Houston's just quietly there, really consistent. I mean, like I said, they've won 11 in a row. I mean, that doesn't happen just with a few players performing well. He's been a key factor.
Yeah. I think what limits him from getting to that Laird level is the fact that they have all those young midfielders in. Like, he's not going to find that 60% CBA, time that Laird gets because, you've got Butters, you've got Horn Francis. Ollie Wines is still a very serviceable player. He had another good game. He's starting to find his
and they
Brownlow
got Drew
form.
as well.
Drew's just a hard-working type guy, in and under type player. So, will he get to that Laird level? Probably not. But
They don't really need him. They don't really need him to. He's
exactly
quite
right.
versatile, right? He can play wing as well, a half forward role like Darcy Burn Jones got there, moved to more of the half forward line this year and playing like just a team role for the team as well. So yeah, like I just think that you're right. They've got some players that could come in. It's evidence that they've got a lot of depth. I think players have really improved in positions that maybe you didn't expect them. Like even players like Sam Pepper, never the flashiest player, but over the last couple of years has improved. He like one-armed, I can't remember which player it was, just pushed him off the ball completely, kicked a massive goal.
I love watching him play. He's so fun to watch.
See, if he was a bit quicker, he would be probably an elite mid because he's got that strength and he's not afraid to, give it, don't argue, but he's slow. So he doesn't really,
And
he can't get to that.
He doesn't have the class, like the kicking class either.
Nah, it doesn't. But that doesn't stop him from being a very serviceable player in the forward line, pinch hitting in the mid a little bit.
Reminds me of sort of like a Liam Picken in the Western Bulldogs grand final years. Like smaller guy, tough.
He's not small, Pepper.
Pepper?
He's not small.
Yeah, he's not tall.
Look, I'm gonna have to search up his height.
His head's not small.
In the forward line, amongst marshals and that, you're not going to say he's tall. He's a smaller forward.
Yeah, but Picken was like less than 6 foot.
All right, I'm just saying.
I wouldn't like.
Was Picken that short?
He was, wasn't he?
I don't think he was short. Remember, they're small on the screen, but in real life,
Matt's doing a height check.
True.
Matt's going to measure them live on the pod.
I will. You know what? You guys keep talking. I'm going to find both of their heights.
My point was,
yeah,
every good team needs that small forward that's just ferocious and really aggressive. Might not be the star of the show, but I think he contributes a lot to the wins.
He's definitely aggressive. I think that, I never really rated him much, but I think over the last couple of years, he's become a pretty valuable player to them.
I think we've adjusted our expectations of him because when he came in, it was like, oh, look at this young, exciting midfielder, and now he didn't go to those heights of being like an elite mid, but he's playing a role really well. So because we've readjusted where we see him, you can, it's a lot more positive, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And what about the Cats though? I mean, I was watching the game and I'm thinking, man, the Cats are probably going to be the team to stop their streak now. They looked really motivated. Gary Rowan's clunking marks, kicking a few in the first quarter, and then just the Power second quarter settled things, and then the third they just went bang and just blew them out of the water.
Yeah, I think they kicked 7 in a row. Something
They did.
Like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Geelong is lacking a bit of depth now. They won their flag at probably their final time. The final chance they had to win their flag, they won it. They were the best team last year. They deserved it. But I don't know. I mean, we talk about like who is their good players in their team. Like you look at their midfield and it's really uninspiring. Dangerfield was a bit of a butcher and then got a bit injured and affected them. You can't still rely on like a 33-year-old midfielder.
Yeah. And I guess time will tell how these work out, but they did go recruit Jack Bowes and getting lots of pats on the back for that. They recruited Tanner Bruin. They've drafted Jai Clark. Do they just put him in? I mean...
I was going to say that they weren't really celebrated for getting Bowes. It was all that pick that they got out of it.
Yeah, they tried to paint it. No, but they were painting it like...
Oh, Bowes is going to be a great...
Did you see this text that Dangerfield texted Tom Stewart in round 6 last year? Bowes is a good player. Did you see that?
Yeah, no.
Apparently that was something that happened. I reckon it was photoshopped.
Yeah, honest. Probably. Look, Jai Clark probably needs to get some more
But
time.
the Cats have never been a team that has just gifted players games. Like, if your first gamer at Carlton, just come in, mate, and play. Geelong, you got to play in the reserves for like 4 years to get a spot.
Yeah, I feel like they do give first year players a run though. Like I'm thinking back. Like I feel like they have just random dudes. Maybe it's the mature edge guys that just come in and play straight away.
I don't know. I feel like there's a bit of an apprenticeship, but maybe as their players get older and they have to cycle them out, they need a new philosophy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But look, they had their chance of winning. Was it in the first half? We're saying that they were up for most
first
of the
quarter. They jumped them.
Yeah,
they looked really good.
So I guess we can't really jump to conclusions because they lost to the best team in the comp. In Adelaide as well. So I guess we can't really get too.
I think that they'll probably still make finals, but they're definitely not winning the flag this year, and they're not going to be top 4. So
for sure.
No, well, Chris Scribe, he looked stressed, man.
He was angry, huh?
He was angry. I mean, I've been saying, and this is going to sound controversial now, but since he joined the Cats and in his first year won the flag, and North had Brad Scott, I was always like, oh man, Chris is overrated. He's inherited this team. Anyone could have coached it. And then there was many years in a row where obviously the Cats have been great for a long time, but I was always deep down like, yeah, I knew I was right. Like they're not going to actually go all the way. And then to be fair, he coached a great year last year, like throwing blitzarves around tactically and a few of the moves he made. I'm like, all right, man can coach. But then this year again, I'm like, all right, he hasn't got all the tools at his disposal. And what are they doing? They're 10th at the moment. I don't know. Maybe I was right.
Maybe you were, man.
They did recruit for the flag. They got it. I'm sure a lot of coaches could have got that out of him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe.
Never know, really. But I think the one shining light, I think he's been Max Holmes. Like, he's been very good this year. He's probably their main midfielder now. Like, and he's the young guy that, it's yours. This is your midfield. Take it over. Really.
Is that a bit worrisome though? Because he's no Selwood danger. Like, they've had some real guns in there for years. Bartel, depends how far back you want to go. Like, I don't know if he's going to hit that level.
Probably
if he's your shining light.
But he's still young, and he's playing pretty good football. So
okay,
good shout out for Maxi Holmes, man.
Yeah.
He's very much loved in the Geelong fan base, from what I've heard. So yeah.
I've got a stat for you guys. This is a credit to the round so far, but the Cats have conceded 100 points 5 times in the last 13 matches. Right before that, it took them 103 games to concede 100 points.
Whoa.
No, so the 5 and 100.
5 and 100.
I butchered that a bit, but you know what? That just shows the difference over the last 5 seasons compared to where they are defensively now. They've conceded 100 points 5 times this year. Before, to get 5 times conceded 100 points, it's taken 103 games.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no.
To me, that says end of the era.
Yeah,
finally.
I think it is a bit of the end of the era. They haven't had a settled defense because people have been in and out. Tom Stewart's missed some time. De Koning's missed some time. Radagalia's missed some time. That doesn't help, but it's kind of damning. It's funny. I'm looking at their team because I just wanted to see if they had any injuries, right? Paddy Dangerfield, for some reason, is back pocket in the game, the Geelong versus Port game. Look at this.
Is that where it was named, or was what?
I don't know. But they've just got him in the back pocket there. That just looks so weird. What's he doing there, man? Get out of there.
Career change.
Yeah, that's it, man.
He's following Horn Francis, mate. That's
maybe. Yeah, that must be what it was.
Learning how to play footy.
Can I say a little weekly Dean trade bomb as well? That just popped in my head right now.
Okay.
I've been meaning to say it, but it never came up in the right moment. But you mentioned Radaglia, yeah? Moved to defence all of a sudden. Now, this guy for me, I mean, he was groomed as a forward. Okay, forward ruck. I can see the ruck bit. He's pretty athletic. And now I'm thinking, all right, he's a defender now. Okay. And coincidentally, he's been the subject of trade rumours the last few years. And teams weren't like bidding a lot for him.
Port were going for him
pretty hard
last year, but
Cats obviously weren't impressed with what they were getting in return, so they didn't do it. Now, tell me what you think, but him playing in defence now, I think his value's gone up this year, right? Would you agree?
I think he's late first, early second round pick at like the minimum in my eyes for a key defender like that.
Well, that's the trade bomb, I reckon. Call it now. Radaglia gone at the end of the year. They're going to cash in on the value. They've like fed him like an animal at the moment, like fatten him up and sell him. That's what they're doing.
I don't mind the strategy, man.
It's a good strategy, to be fair, but I can't see a world where they keep him and pay him what he's going to get paid somewhere else, probably. So
that's an interesting thought.
Is he out of contract?
I think he either is or he's next year, one of those ones, like the pre-agents, as Kaltumi calls them.
Yeah, well, if that's the case, man. North, I'm a bit shaky on our key defending stocks at the moment, so I wouldn't mind him,
Interesting.
popping in.
Just thought I'd put it out there,
I like it.
Also, did you end up getting the heights of Palpepper and Picken, or was
it was 184 Picken and 187 Palpepper?
So you stopped me in my tracks over 3 centimeters.
Look, you know what the thing is with it is that Palpepper looks way taller, bro. He looks way taller, and Picken has this little kid looking dude. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
Well, they actually both tiny, man. I'm taller than them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
George is huge.
Oh,
Wait, did you say 182?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm way smaller than
I was going to say 184.
184.
People on the pod don't know how tall I am.
Yeah, true.
Like,
I'm 190.
George is 195, man.
George got that bond height, 194, man.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They look small on the screen, man, but they're massive in real life.
Yeah, no, fair call. Nah, that was my L. I'll take an L on that one. They're physically not that different.
I wasn't going to let you forget it because you were going quiet for a bit.
Yeah, no. Good on you. Good on you for calling me out. I appreciate that. Good mates to do that. So
that's it, man. Okay, let's move on to the next game, boys. So the Lions, in the end, got the job done against the Swans. It was a bit in the balance there for a while. I'll tell you what, if Chris Scott looks stressed, John Longmire, this guy, he needs a therapist, mate. The Swans are in the bottom 4 right now. They're 4th last.
Yeah.
What on earth is going on?
Retooling while they've got all these injuries.
I don't accept this. I'm sorry. Like, I've said it last week. I don't accept this retooling from a team that won the grand final with an up-and-coming young team.
Imagine getting another one, but
the thing is, they
You know what I mean?
just can't score. Their forward line is absolute shambles, mate. I reckon they had a period in the second quarter, it might have been second quarter, where they had like 10 inside 50s in a row, and it was just defended and moved out, and then they gave away a 50-meter free kick, and it resulted in the Lions' goal. Just bomb it in, comes out. Bomb it in, comes out. Bomb it in, comes out. It's just like they just cannot score. They just have no chemistry forward line, which is a lot of teams have that problem. You know, Freo had that problem. Carlton has that problem. There's teams that have that problem, but that doesn't matter how many times they win the ball, put it in there. It just comes right out.
I can see where you're coming from as well, but from my point of view, this is against Brisbane, right? So I'm not overly criticising this game. In the end, it was like a 20-odd point loss to the Lions at the Gabba, a 16-point loss. So fair enough, but again, they're fourth last. Like, this is a very prolonged issue that I did not see coming for them. Like, they were playing some beautiful football last year, like quick movement, easy goals for Heaney and the like. Like, what's going on this year, man? It's really crazy
The
to go
season's
from
done.
top 4 to bottom 4 with a young team. It is done.
It is done. It is done.
100% done.
I think, injuries obviously have been an issue. Like McCartan, he was a key player for them last year, and he's gone for this season. Buddy, obviously, more steps back. Reed hasn't been playing. I feel like we've said this every episode the last 2 months. Like, they don't have key positions that are good. I don't know. Look, this might be a blessing in disguise for them, because if they weren't ready to, compete again this year, getting another high-end pick.
It is what they did a few years ago, where they were just really bad, got a few high-end picks, and then just went bang up the ladder again. So
yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do it again, because they've still got an immense amount of talent and a lot of good kicks as well in that team. Like, you go Jake Lloyd, Blakey, Braden Campbell. There's so many good kicks. They'll Goulden, right? Probably the best of the lot. They'll
Dylan
find
Stevens.
Dylan Stevens, exactly. They'll make their way back, but it's weird. It's weird. And I think probably the biggest thing that they need is a consistent ruckman, because Hickey's not it. No. He's not it, man. He's injury prone. His hair's too long. He can't. They need a consistent figure, and I don't know who that is. Maybe they ring up GWS and be like, "Hey, what do you want for Briggs?"
Maybe it's Tom DeConnie, mate.
Sean Darcy, maybe as well.
No, I like that. Actually, Sean Darcy. Yeah, maybe it's Sean Darcy. But I actually like the Koenig call, because they always seem to have $1 million to spare. Sydney,
and he's blonde.
He's perfect for the team, mate.
Yeah.
Perfect for the team.
That's a good shout, actually.
Yeah, but no, I think that's been an issue for them as well. That doesn't help when you can't get it out of the guts.
Yeah, it is concerning though as well. I mean, as a North fan, Matsa, you would know as well. Like, when you're at the bottom, it feels like it's so hard to get out, and when you're at the top, you just feel like you're in the window, right? You need to go for it. And to be in the window, literally last year, they were in the grand final. You can't. I mean, I do believe as well they'll bounce back at some point in the next couple months or year, but you can't take it for granted being a good team, and it's too hard.
Was it not premature that they were in the grand final though?
You could say so, yeah. You could say so.
Apart from Luke Parker and Lance, who are really old, they didn't have that many old guys off the top of my head. Jake Lloyd, a bit older, but he doesn't play in a position that relies on athleticism or anything.
Depends though. I mean, Papley,
Heaney's still young.
Rampy.
Rampy's old. So those are probably the older guys. But there's a lot of young dudes who are probably playing above what they could do. Random dudes like Wicks playing well, and
I think Warner overperformed last year compared to what he's doing this year.
Yeah,
Goulden got better.
Yeah, but I think it's a very young list. So I think they overperformed last year, similar to Fremantle, how they overperformed last year. Now it's really disappointing. I reckon it's something got to do with that, to be honest with you.
I have to agree, because I can't believe that they're just not a good team anymore, and they won't be. I do agree. They'll bounce back, but it's just, must be annoying for their fans. You get whacked in a grand final, you expect to bounce back, get some revenge, and they've just been woeful.
Yeah, it'd be a tough time.
It would be,
to be a Swans fan. I didn't think of it from that perspective, actually. Yeah, that would suck.
What about the Lions, though? I mean, another win at the Gabba. We're not too surprised. They're good players. I mean, Cameron had an indifferent game, if I'm not mistaken. I think things just weren't really working his way. If I just do a stat check. 7 touches. He didn't play well at all, but I mean, the rest of them seemed to do the job.
Lockie Neal and Dunkley are crazy, man.
Even Ashcroft had 8 clearances, 9 clearances. Even better. The kid's a monster. And they debuted Jasper Fletcher as well.
He looks great.
Kicked a great running goal. So, I mean, they've got some nice talent coming through as well. Father-son's pretty lucky. But yeah, you're right. The Dunkley and Neal were just animals, and McInerney was massive as well. So they just cleaned them out.
He made Hickey look really bad.
Yeah,
And that's probably why I'm really going in on Hickey. But another thing I've realised there, it was 13 goals, 19 to 12 goals, 9. So that scoreboard was probably not really indicative of, how well Brisbane played. So I think, Brizzy, they should be feeling pretty comfortable.
It's a fair call.
Going into the rest of the rounds.
Did you guys see as well, in the week leading up to this game, Daniel Rich and Jack Gunston basically withdrawing themselves from selection?
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Considering, especially Gunston, Rich has been part of their rebuilds and, finally seemed like he was a key part of their success moving forward. But Gunston, they recruited to help with the flag push. That's a crazy one.
To be honest, I kind of like it, to be honest with you. It's just like these guys have been honest with themselves. They've looked themselves in the mirror and been like, look, I need to, get back into, some better form somehow. Apparently they're going to give them a training block, for them to prime themselves. It might be a mini preseason type thing where they just get their bodies ready for the rest of the season. I don't think it's a bad idea, to be honest with you.
Does that mean that they weren't going to get dropped? Unless they said something.
See, that's an interesting call because
that's the weird part.
Yeah.
Why should they even need to put their hand up?
Do you reckon Fagan had that team selection meeting with them? It's sort of like if you're about to get fired and you just quit instead. You know what I mean?
Maybe
it'll be better if you tell me that you don't want to play,
paint it
so
this
that
way
I
in the
don't tell
media,
you that you're not going to play.
Maybe.
I don't think so.
Probably not. But look, what's it called? I like it from them, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Hopefully they can come back and play some good footy because, especially Rich, he's kind of a fun guy to watch.
Wouldn't it be funny if it starts like a trend in the AFL where it's like, sorry, coach, I'm not up to it. You've got 6 fit players or something like that because everyone's in Bali with Degoe.
I was gonna say Degoe would do it every 3 or 4 weeks. Oh nah, man, I'm really not in good form. You just had 35 disposals, mate.
It could have been 40.
It could have been 40. I went 2 goals 3, man. It wasn't,
It's an especially interesting call though as well because they are in the top 4. It's not like they're underperforming. I'm sure a bunch of those guys in Sydney can be like, you know what, coach, get me out.
Yeah, true.
It is kind of, I don't know, would you call it selfless from someone like Rich, potentially giving up his spot in a grand final side?
Yes, it is very selfless.
I don't think that they're going to be in the grand final anyway, so it doesn't matter. Rich, you're fine. Take it easy, bro.
I think they're a chance for the final.
I think what it is with the Lions, they can only have one guy on the team that looks like a Lion, and it was Rich for a while, and now it's Ashcroft. You can't have 2.
That must be it. Man.
Solved it. That's it.
There we go. Solve the Mythbusters over here.
That's
actually,
it, man. That's it.
At AFL Enjoyers.
He does look like a lion, man.
He does, bro. When he's old enough to grow a beard, he will look like a lion.
Do you reckon he gets down on all fours and just goes raw? I reckon he does, man.
Oh my god, he better.
When he's feeling himself.
That was wild. Did you? That was wild.
Wild like a lion, man.
Look at this. You're on fire, bro.
I could have committed to that a bit more. I said, nah. This is recorded.
Fair enough, man.
Do we start the episode again or?
We're too deep.
I'm kidding.
Okay, so the next game, Giants embarrassed the Dockers. Now, the Dockers were on a turnaround of form, so I think we can all agree.
Bro, they just didn't turn up, man.
They did not turn up.
But you could actually see that they just didn't want to be there. I don't think I've seen a team not want to be there as much as this one here. There might as well just been Rich and Gunston fucking playing in that team. might have to bleep that one out.
Oh my goodness.
Bro, they were walking around. They didn't man up anyone. It was actually deplorable. I was angry for Freo fans. If you're watching that, you're like, what is this shit? It was pathetic, man.
That was bad. That was really bad.
The Giants made them look like they were just toddlers, man. I can't actually believe how bad they played.
Man, I thought they already had the bye, and then I'm like, oh no, Freo must be on the bye this week. It's crazy stuff, man.
No, man. GWS, man. Shout out to Josh Kelly, man. He comes back with a bang, man.
He's a monster.
He probably knew. Look, I got a week off coming. Let's just have a good one and have a rest for another couple of weeks. Oof.
But the broadcast was saying that it's he's amazing football and still kind of underrated for some reason.
Because he doesn't play in Victoria.
Yeah,
and also he doesn't have a consistent run at it. You've got him in your Supercoach team for a while, and then he gets injured, and then you got to trade him out, and then he does this.
And then if you just put him on the bench for 2 weeks, then you would be happy. But you always trade him.
You
I traded
exactly. Yeah, no, yeah, you did. I did.
after round 1.
Yeah. Oh man, at least I had a nice little run with him. But
That's true.
yeah,
but I
no.
wasn't gonna say is like the broadcasters were blaming like Sean Darcy not being there. Like, oh, they're really missing Darcy, mate. They're
Luke
missing.
Jackson had a good game though.
They're missing
He
a
was
lot more
alright.
than just Darcy, mate. They're missing their Mialo in Greek.
Yeah, Lord, their brain in Greek.
Oh, they completely lost it. But you know what? Let's take nothing away from the Giants because we've said all year these guys, they're not a bad team, but they're not a good team. Like they can play really well when you don't expect it, and then they can just not turn up.
Well, you reminded us that they're the ones that lost to West Coast.
Yes,
They lost to West
They
Coast.
lost to West Coast.
How? How do you lose to West Coast?
I don't know, but they did.
It's because they didn't have Kieran Briggs in the team,
True.
and now that they got Briggsy, mate.
Well, they've worked something out, I think, with putting Himmelberg back. Not that he had the best game, but Riccardi has stepped up in the forward line. That guy's good, man. And then Toby Green, of course, you know,
He's amazing.
what a player. I think it's interesting how he's gone from a midfielder when he was, you know, in his rookie year and even I think his second year, but he's pretty much almost a full-time forward now. And he just changes the game like no one else can, in my opinion.
I'm curious to see if he played his junior footy in the forward line or as a midfielder. But regardless, like that's so selfless of him to play in that position. You know, we think of him as this, you know, bit of an arrogant type dude. But like, look, this dude's being like the ultimate professional and playing in the forward line. Because, you know, a lot of players get told to do it, but they just never...
They can't play that. It's a hard role to play.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like Robbie Gray. Robbie Gray could have been a great midfielder, but he settled in that small forward role and played it to perfection. And Green's the same.
So even someone like Zach Butters, for example, he played that role really well, was an All-Australian. You know what I mean? Now they've decided, all right, let's play him in the guts, but
Good decision.
It's a great decision. But, you know, it's a tough role to play. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Giants are only a win out of the 8 now. I will talk about it a bit later, but that sort of 5th to 13th spot on the ladder is really interesting. And they're one of them. I mean, if we're saying Geelong's a chance at the 8 and Richmond and, you know, potentially even Freo, I'm not going to say Carlton, but, you know, there's a bunch of teams there that you can make an argument for. Is it crazy to think that they can put together a few more consistent games and actually push for the 8?
I'd like to see it. I mean, they played in that kind of that wave football. I think they call it the orange tsunami way of playing football. But it was very like overlappy, very fast. But they were versing traffic cones, so I don't know how much to make out of that game.
Yeah. I'm looking at their run. It's like Melbourne, which is obviously a tough game, and then the Hawks, which should win that. But then it goes to another tough game. Adelaide, Suns at home, they should win that. And then the Bulldogs at Marvel. I don't know.
They're going to have to step it up.
Yeah,
They're going to have to earn it. Any team that makes the 8 this year is going to have to earn it.
Yeah, and I think they're capable because they have a midfield that can match it with anyone, like Kelly, Cogs, Tom Green,
And now
they've got a good ruck as well.
Yeah, a good ruck. The defense with Himmelberg's back there, Haynes if he can stay fit. Like there's some guys that we
Sam
know.
Taylor as
Sam
well.
Taylor, we know that they're good players. Like their forward line, you know, Toby Green's a game changer. Bedford's a good player. If Riccardi can be consistent, like there's talent everywhere on that team.
Flowers for Bedford, man. He's been very good as
He's
a
fun to
pressure
watch,
forward.
yeah?
Yeah, man. I like him a lot.
I keep thinking it's Taranto out there.
Yeah, that's it. When I see 14, I'm like, Toronto?
Oh, jeez. No, fair enough. Well, you know what? Speaking of Taranto, let's move on to that next game because this guy, Timmy Taranto, I'm going to say, I don't think we've said it enough this year. Flowers for this guy, mate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been a monster.
He consistently gets over 30 touches, a bunch of tackles, a goal or two.
Yeah,
like
he's kicking goals.
He's kicking goals, man. Especially in the wet. Did you see that one in the last quarter? The inside-out banana sort of running towards the centre from about 40 out, and he's bananaed in the wet, and it went in to seal the game. It was incredible.
Yeah, goal scoring mid now.
Oh.
All of a sudden, like he's like I did a little bit of research on him earlier. He has scored his career high in goals, yet he's playing in the midfield. There was a time where he was playing forward, and he didn't kick this amount of goals.
That's true.
So he's become a dynamic mid, you know. And is he top 5 mids? He's top 10 at least.
On current form, I'd say top 5.
Yeah. I think so.
Form wise, top 5.
He was in all of our All Australian teams.
Yeah, I'm probably was he in mine?
Yeah.
I had him. You might have left him out.
Yeah, because I was a bit stringent on like you got to be a top 8 team. I went like the actual like I tried to make it like the AA the typical AA selectors only picking Collingwood and Geelong.
Well, you know
players.
what? Come the end of the year,
Yeah.
Speaking of the 8 earlier,
Richmond,
Tigers, they're pushing.
yeah.
They're ninth in their comfortable ninth again.
That's it, man. They're back home.
I think they can do it.
Yeah.
They're good players. They're back in form. And even like you talk about Cochin, he had like the game of his life after, it was 300th, wasn't it, Cochin?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Trent Cochin.
That's
Friend of
it.
the pod. So, he wound back the clock a bit. Dustin Martin played well. But like Vloström was good. Jaden Short. Man, the guys, Jaden Short, just give it to him outside. Oh my God. Like how simple does he make football look?
I said to you, messaging
5 goals in 2 weeks straight, right? From 60 metres.
And
Off a step.
He's got a cannon, mate.
we were
He's got a
messaging
cannon.
each other during the game, and I asked you the question: has there been a smaller player that can kick further than him?
I don't think so, man.
There's
I
not
don't
too
think
many.
so.
Do it, man.
Shannon
let's-
Hearn taller than him? He is.
Yeah,
A
I would
little
say
bit.
so.
But how tall is Jaden Short? Because you can't tell how tall this guy is.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Despite
like,
his name.
I was going to say his name would
I'd
suggest
say
that
180.
It says 178.
Oh, he's short.
He's Jaden's
Wow.
short.
That's my
Jaden
height.
is short.
He's short. He's my height. I'm not short.
Yeah. In AFL,
But could you imagine
relatively-
Dino kicking 65 metres?
Mate, in my sleep, bro.
Yeah, in your sleep dreaming.
True, true,
Not in real life. Real life, you're about 35, surely.
Nah, to be honest, 40. I can go 40.
He's happy about that.
I think honestly, we got to do a little kicking challenge.
Yeah.
So you can kick the furthest.
If the man at the mark's on 30, I can kick 40. Like, I'll go 10 meters behind comfortably. But if the man on the mark's at 40, I'm not kicking that. No way.
Fair enough.
That's not happening.
We'll get like the what's it called, that little
Yeah,
rolling. You probably have them at work that you can,
We don't use that. The newsflash, that's not used in construction anymore, bro.
Really?
The rolly.
The roll thing, the one that goes.
That's in PE
That
class
thing?
only, bro.
Really? We'll fight.
That's one of those useless things that like you only use in school. Like, you know how like in PE you played like lacrosse and shit?
Yeah, who
You
plays
you
lacrosse?
never
bro?
played AFL, but you play like croquet.
Yeah,
That's one of those
yeah.
things.
I feel that. Like handball. I mean, we played handball at one stage.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And honestly, it was fantastic. Handball is like legit. Like that. Shout out to handball there. Flowers for handball.
You guys ever play a bit of cheeky field hockey as well?
Field
No.
hockey.
I'm low-key alright at field hockey. Anyone that was at school with me knows, mate.
Jeez, Dino with his field hockey.
I'm okay, I'm
So
alright.
what's field hockey? Like, is that different from regular hockey?
It's just not ice hockey. It's the regular hockey.
Oh,
That's what it's
just
called.
hockey.
It's hockey.
Oh, you might have got mistaken between ice hockey and regular hockey. You got to break it down, boys.
Thank you, but not needed. Just freaking.
I was pretty bad at hockey, man.
Yeah, nah, not my vibe either. But handball though. Handball for me, hockey for you. Well, what's your obscure sport that you're good
You
at?
already said lacrosse already.
No, I was not bad at soft cross, but I threw the ball into someone's head when I was, and it kind of scarred me. Table tennis.
Oh, you rate
Hey.
the table tennis skills. Okay.
Hey, I'm down for a little table tennis session. Not gonna lie,
Might set one up.
someone get a table, man. Someone get. Yeah, actually, it is. There we go. All right, next week. Next week is that's next week. Next week's episode is a table tennis tournament.
On this
Just-
little coffee table.
Yeah, I just need a little net.
That's it, man.
Oh, jeez. I completely lost where we were. What were we talking about?
We're talking about
Richmond.
Oh, no, we're talking about Jaden Short.
Jaden Short.
So-
yeah, he can roost it. We'll give him
So,
that.
honestly, yeah, he's got to be the shortest player that can kick so far. Like, effortless kicks from 60. Like, this
Mate,
guy's unreal.
But the thing is, it doesn't even look like missing.
No, he's very confident hitting them right now.
But I reckon the game plan just give it to Jaden Short. Don't even worry about forward structure.
Mm.
You don't need it.
Don't even have forwards.
But why not?
Yeah, no, seriously.
Well, what
why
happens if you
forwards?
had a team of just half backs that just ran to 60 meters and then kicked it?
Look, instead of having 6 forwards, right, you have 3 people on each side shepherding
Yeah.
for Jaden Short.
Well,
Who says you can't do that?
He's proven that he's capable.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I'd feel comfortable as a Richmond fan seeing him running behind someone that's just marked it from 50 every day of the week.
Absolutely.
I mean, Dusty as well. He's probably got a pretty long bomb on him as well. 35 touches for him, back to his best.
Yeah, no, he was massive.
3 behinds as well. I mean,
So
could have easily.
he could have
yeah.
really had a game.
Yes.
But yeah, he kept it modest.
He
You know what I
did.
mean? Because he's a really modest guy. So,
do you guys want to like shit on Jack Steele?
I actually wrote here missing Jack Steele.
yeah,
So,
where's
yeah.
he at? Where's he at, man?
No, look,
Like-
I just have one thing to say, right? Like this guy here, this game was up for the win. You're trying to make the 8. Richmond's veterans all stood up. All their best players, Cochin, Martin, we just said, even guys like Short, who's been around a little while now. Everyone you'd expect for them to have a good game did, in key moments especially. Taranto snapping that goal in the last quarter. Jack Steele was nowhere to be seen this entire game, and there's not a lot in it. and they're trying to make the finals. This guy, it's crazy actually that they're doing so well with him playing so poorly, to be fair.
Is his heart not in it? Like, what's going on there?
Well, they're saying he's injured. Is he not injured? No, he's fine.
I think he was under injury cloud to play this game, but Ross Lyon said he's not injured, but the coach will always probably say that.
They don't want to reveal any,
It's kind of like
show all the cards.
It's kind of the Cripps treatment. When he's playing well, everyone thinks he's injured, and the coach is like he's not injured, and Jack still comes out and says, "I'm fully fit." But I don't know.
But surely, I mean, from my point of view, they've got to be thinking September right now. Like, if Jack still needs to take 2 weeks off to get his body right, surely you trust the rest of your team. He's playing pretty well to just carry for 2 weeks, put Sinclair in the guts a little bit more than you might want to.
That stretches my Supercoach team so much.
I don't think
man,
Ross Lyon cares, mate.
No, I know he doesn't. He definitely doesn't care. But geez,
there's got to be a solution here, boys. I mean, you can't have your captain playing this poorly for so long when you're trying to make the finals. It will not end well.
And he doesn't have the physicality. He's not tackling either. Like fine, don't get the ball, but tackle. That's like the main thing he does.
Especially in the wet weather game, man. Previous years,
this should have been his game.
He would have looked at this like rubbing his hands together, like, yes, this is my game, and he just didn't show up, man.
Yeah, and it is weird because not only is he not playing well, and like he was always a good player, and not just a good player, he was elite. Like, I reckon he was top 3 mids at one stage. 2 years ago? Like, we're talking like high end, high quality player, S tier, some might say. But he's dropped off, man.
It's crazy, man. Did you guys see in the beginning of the game, is it Max King for the Saints?
Yeah.
Yeah, Max King and Noah Bolter get into it a bit. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. I mean, he took a mark right in front of his face and shoved it in his face. But
yeah. I don't mind it from the young key forward. I mean, shows a bit of arrogance.
But the thing is, he had a shot later to get them close to the win, if not in front, and he mucked it up. And a couple of Saints had those opportunities and kicked it out in the full or thing. So, yeah, they didn't take their chances. All for trash talk, but you got to back it up, right?
100%. But I like the confidence to even have it in the first place. Like, nothing beats...
swagger. There was a swagger.
Yeah, you take a big contested mark and then just give your key back a bit of shit. I like that, to be honest.
Got to be careful. These days, they might reverse it just by looking at the opponent.
True, man. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the next game and I'm itching to hear what Georgie has to say about his disappointment in the win.
The Baggers are making the finals, baby.
They're making the finals, mate. Why are you upset today?
Didn't your papu say that Carlton's back making the grand final?
Mate, he just rang me and he said, Carlton's back, baby.
That's wild.
No, I needed some explanations here, Georgie. Come on, man. What's going on, man? What's it?
I want them to lose because I'll tell you why you want them to lose.
You did not. Don't lie.
No, I actually wanted them to lose. I promise you. And the reason is because if they lost, they'd have no option. Like, they can't hide from it. They have no option but to make changes and to go, shit, no, this is real. We can't hide anymore. Let's make a plan. I didn't want one of those crummy wins that they just scrape over the line and put the bandage over it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah, we got the win. And the thing I hate is like the whole idea, now finals are back on the agenda. You just lost 6 games in a row. And you beat Gold Coast at the MCG and suddenly finals are back. Like, I hate that talk. So I wanted to avoid it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Season would be completely over if we lost and we could just focus on youth and draft picks. Now suddenly they're going to win. I bet you they'll win against the Hawks, and then they'll come up against Freo in Optus Stadium and get absolutely slaughtered because that's what Carlton does. So whatever. But what I was saying is, all right, fine. Once we started and the first quarter, I was like, wow, these guys actually... I fully expected Carlton to win this game. My personal tip was a very confident Carlton. It just had to happen. And, we got Nick Newman back, and he's not like a big name, right? But he's pretty important to calm structure, and he released his side a bit. And, Pitney comes back in, had the worst game of his life, but usually when he plays, we play better. And David Cunningham, a bit of new look. It just felt right. Like, I just thought we were going to win, right? And after the first quarter, I'm like, wow, we're not. And then the second quarter happened, and we played like we've played at the start of last year with that just... Take it out of the midfield, kick goal, do it again. Kick like 7 goals in a row. Kick like 7 goals in 7 minutes, something crazy. And it ended up being like a record of how many goals scored from clearances, like ever.
Whoa.
Like some ridiculous stat, like 8 goals, 2 from centre bounce clearances.
Who would have thought with someone like Witz in the ruck, who would, you'd think would help out, get his team a couple clearances, that you guys would dominate that much from them.
It's pretty wild. So like once we started dominating, we're like, all right, fine. If you're going to win, win. And prove that you can still play the type of football. And because they won in such a dominating fashion out of the midfield, where Cripps has been under, like what's happening to him, similar to Jack Steele. Walsh has been getting the ball but not really impacting. Kennedy was back on the ball and really showed what he's got. And you kind of reminded what Carlton is capable of. And then I reckon that they probably take some confidence from that. So we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you what, yeah, what you said before watching that first quarter, I was watching it as well, and I'm thinking, oh boy.
You know what I mean?
It's happening.
You know what I mean?
But credit to the Blues. I mean, I think personally as well, Gold Coast just doesn't have the mentality to punish you. I mean, they were well on top and could have been a few more goals ahead. And then Carlton, it's like something just switched. You won a few centre clearances, a few easy marks, a few easy goals, bang, bang, bang. And then all of a sudden, you end the game, really. From there out, I mean, you kind of just managed the game.
Yeah.
Did the Carlton special, just have one huge quarter.
There's still
but
elements where like they still kicked it inside 50 poorly to the not to advantage of forwards, but it was just such domination from the midfield. Like Walsh streamed out of the midfield like 5 times and delivered it inside 50. You can't stop that.
I see your concern as well. I mean, would it be good for Carlton to take a slight step back and just reshuffle?
I don't want to finish 10th, man.
But I think that's what you're gunning for finals, and I think naturally you will end up somewhere there.
Yeah,
to be honest. So,
would you not rather finish 4th last than 10th?
But what does that look like at this point of the season? Like, what do you do to ensure you don't win, but like you're going to keep trying. You do have a decent team. It's not like you have youngsters that are ready to just throw in at the expense of experienced players. Like, who's going to play?
It's a weird thing because in the NBA, they literally just be like, all right, you're not playing for the season. You're injured, you're injured, you're injured. But it's easy to do because there's less players on the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know can you do that in the AFL in a way that's acceptable? Like, Melbourne got fined for this.
And which
you know
player
what I mean?
would want
Like,
to do it? Like, the NBA they don't really count games played, really. I mean, there's an 82-game season. If they play 60, no one cares. But in the AFL, I mean, players care about how many games they play at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I think if I'm fit, I want to play 22 games.
Yeah.
I think maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Do players care about game count?
I reckon they do.
And
a
I
lot.
think
milestones?
they get paid per game.
You sure?
Yeah, it's match payments. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. There you go.
So if you got a big contract but you're not playing, I don't think you get that money.
That's interesting, that.
So they definitely want to play.
So I think you're kind of stuck, man. It's too late in the season to do anything about it.
I think they proved that they're not a bottom 4 team in terms of
They
what
shouldn't
they
be.
They
Yeah.
shouldn't be, right?
They shouldn't
If
be.
you can torch Gold Coast, who have been playing good football like that, well, then you're higher up on the ladder. I don't know where you are, but you're higher up in the ladder. So, I reckon they'll resurrect the season a little bit now from this, but they're not going to play finals, and it's just going to be a nothing season. The last thing I want is Ed Kerner to play. Last thing I want Dow to get an opportunity in the midfield. But what's interesting is the Blues have kind of changed their team structure a little bit over from the start of the season to now. You got players like Chin Cotter, who's got a permanent spot. Jordan Boyd has got a permanent spot because they got more pace. David Cunningham's come in after 2 years. He's going to play. If he's not injured, he's going to play. Fogarty got a game finally from Motlop.
Yeah, man. I forgot about him, man.
So they're changing, slowly. I think definitely O'Brien won't get another game for the season. Cottrell just got suspended, so I think Jackson Binns will get his debut, who was a draft pick from last year, who's another winger. So, I think that they're starting to put a little bit more pace into the team, and I think they're starting to settle on some younger kids and just making some decisions on some players that are not going to make it. Like Brody Kempy's getting a spot now and playing good footy. What's happening to Marchbank, he's probably just going to get moved on. Some of these players you kind of just have to make a decision on. Jack Martin is playing at the moment and adding something, but if he gets injured one more time this season, I think you just got to get rid of him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think they're just trying to work out what their best team looks like, and then it should be pretty obvious to the coaching staff what they need to recruit in the off-season.
I just want to say one little thing. You mentioned Dow earlier. I saw something on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it was. But in the 25 minutes he played, he was the sub this week, yeah? So 25 minutes he played, 8 touches, so 4 scoring involvements, 5 inside 50s, an intercept and a clearance. That's a really, potent 25 minutes that he's gone and, put out there. So
I just what's the point of having him as a sub? He's not a sub. He's not a sub player. A sub player would be like someone like Jack Silvani, I reckon would be a sub player because he's versatile, could play ruck if he really has to, forward, back line, that's a sub type of player. Down was just an extra midfielder as a sub. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, it is a bit odd because
weird.
then it throws out the balance of the team if you're not subbing out another mid. So yeah, it's a bit weird, but yeah,
it's interesting. I like what you said about playing a few of those other younger guys though, because ultimately, if you can end the season at least with some positivity and a few kids you look at like, okay, they might have a future, then you can be really specific about who you cut, who you recruit, and then actually maybe take a genuine step forward next year, not like a half step.
Yeah, I think so. And the interesting thing about these type of players is Chincotta's not some super talented player, but what he offers is some burst and some kind of real direction, just gunning it. So like he's playing, and then someone like Young has been cut. So Young looked like quite a talented player, and he's really bested some of his opponents. But what we realised is you can't have Young and Wiedering because they're both that kind of immobile player. So you're potentially sacrificing a talented player for a player that's not as talented but fits the role better. So I think they're just working out what their structure is. And sometimes you can have a player that's not as good but plays that role better, and your team ends up looking better. So I think they're doing that with some positions at the moment.
Interesting
cool.
stuff, man.
Well, I think it's interesting. You guys moving to some young guys and playing some better footy. And I'm thinking the next game, kind of the same thing for us. Really
Absolutely,
is,
mate.
Yeah, North Melbourne. We ended up with the L against the Bulldogs, who, well, actually against Bont, to be honest, and Waitman, apparently.
Far out,
so,
man. Bont. Far
I'll
out.
tell you what, before we get to him, I'll just say this, man. I am on board the honourable loss train and loving every minute of it. Like,
same here, to be honest.
this is a breath of fresh air compared to just being a nothing club. We actually have players to watch, players to look forward to watching, moments in each game that are exciting, competitiveness for half or 3/4 of the game.
What's changed?
A few things. One,
Clarko isn't the coach. No.
No. I don't want to hear any of this talk, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree
Alright.
with you. Yeah, no,
All fair play to Rats, but come on. Like, this is Clarko's team. Clarko's vision. Rats, he's not throwing out the rule book, the coaching book after just a few weeks. Let's calm down.
Yeah.
But what has changed is a few things. Number one, our defense actually has some fitness now. So Logan Mackay playing together more. There's a bit more of a structure with what's going on there. Wardlaw's come in and Taron Thomas. So two huge parts of
Thomas made a big difference, yeah.
Mate, both of these kids are coming in and changing the way we play midfield. I mean, we'll get to it in a second, but the Dogs midfield, we know how good it is. That was the difference in the game, just literally just more experienced bodies. We were going toe-to-toe physically as well with them. And then what that's enabled, like the defense getting a bit better, the midfield getting better, the forwards actually having a chance to score. And our score per inside 50 this week was awesome.
The efficiency going forward was way better than usual. And that's usually one of the things we're really bad at, is actually converting inside 50s and good, moments of play to goals. So that's a huge positive.
100%, man. Like Zerha is showing a little bit more consistency because he's getting more look at the ball. I mean, Bevo even threw Norden back. He was a bit worried about Larky going off. So, once Liam Jones got injured. So I think overall as a team, we're just looking a lot more balanced. And the young kids are just having a bit more fun, I think. But yeah, look, it's a fun watch. I think we're going to finish second last this year.
Yeah.
We'll see what goes on with Ben Mackay, if he leaves or not. Apparently, if he leaves on a big enough deal, we might get first round compo, which will be after our first round pick.
Yeah. So really, we sign him or we lose him. It's win-win.
It's win-win.
Really,
so I'm not too fast.
Yeah.
But then next year, I mean, I'm bullish about what we can do next year. I'm hoping and praying for like a Brisbane or a Collingwood rise to glory from bottom four to top 6, top 4, like some huge jump. Yeah. I don't rule that out.
I'm not going to rule it out either, man. And we just re-signed Charlie Coleman today as well. So there's another.
Did we?
Yeah, for another 2 years. So that's another key forward, maybe even key back. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll float that out there that I think he could be a decent key defender, but especially with CCJ really staking his claim as a forward. But we'll see how that goes. We got to talk about the Doggies just a wee bit.
A wee bit,
because they did win the game. Waitman is so annoying to cop 6 goals from, man.
Yeah,
something about him, man. Like when he scores, like He's a great player. Big respect to him, but not against my team, man. Like,
And you know what's like, again, fair play to the kid, but like it was his 50th game as well. It was one of those ones like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get up for my 50th. I'm just gonna kick a goal from the boundary on a banana, it's my 50th,
yeah.
Like get out of here, mate.
He's a great he's a bit of a point of difference for them. Like he hasn't been playing the whole year, but when he does play, obviously he makes a big difference to their team. Because who else do they have as a small forward?
Good question. Well, Oscar Baker probably
Just
runs in
random
there a
guys
little
they
bit.
throw forward.
Yeah, but not
Was it Scott?
yeah.
Who are these dudes?
Anthony Scott,
Who was the young guy who was
Arthur
playing at Stone?
Jones.
Arthur Jones, yeah.
but they're not at this caliber. So
No.
every team that's aspiring to be finals needs a player like Waitman. So
yeah, I think I'm finding interesting is if Norton actually stays in the back line where he looked really good. Like he was drafted as a key defender. So if he was to stay there, man, like I think it unlocks just a bit more. It unlocks a bit more to the rest of the team because it means maybe Darcy can play a bit when he comes back from his injury.
I think
don't know.
Bevo said no at this stage to Norton playing defence full time, but
yeah,
I mean, if Liam Jones is out for a few weeks, he might be forced within games to do it more times. I wouldn't rule that out.
I'm just gonna have a look. Is there any update on Liam Jones?
Fracture to some bone in his arm. I think it's a few weeks at least.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe Norton will be back there. Speaking of Bevo, right? I was spending some time with my grandparents, right? We're Greek heritage boys, right? And we're trying to figure out who's that Greek guy, who's that Greek football player. I searched up Greek football players. Luke Beveridge was on the list.
That's
Where
crazy.
did this come from? Where did this come from that he's Greek, man?
That explains his general grumpiness.
Yeah, it does. It does. He's got the Greek nose as well. Like it all makes sense now. But like I just thought that was interesting.
That's
that
hilarious.
popped up.
so obviously it's his mother's side that's
Yeah, because Beveridge isn't a very Greek name.
maybe it's short.
Beveridgeopoulos.
No, that was a good little article you sent us, Matsa. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I was like, it was wiki, so who knows how legit that is. But we'll claim it for now.
Like, it'd be interesting for someone to add Beveridge's name to the Greek list for no reason.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe, you know what? Maybe someone legit thought this guy looks kind of Greek. We'll just add him to there. And this is
but who's gonna
completely
check
false. Who's going to fact check
You're
this
not
anyway?
even going to check it, man.
Nah.
You saw it.
Well,
What am I going to do? Find out who his mum is? What am I going to do?
might have to invite him on the pod and ask him in person.
True. Ask her.
Um,
Or Luca. Luca Beveridge.
Absolutely. But no, I did want to actually go back to the bot, right? So
Yeah.
North is within a goal in the third quarter, right? And this guy, Marcus Bontempelli, I'm saying his full name, yeah. He's throwing
That's respect.
He's throwing handballs multiple times over his head with two guys tackling him. Like, we couldn't have done much more to stop this guy.
Yeah, he's a monster.
And then, like, you wonder why Waitman's getting goals because he's getting handed the ball on a platter from the Bont, flicking it over his head. So it was a bit of a, like, momentum drainer when you're doing everything right and then just pure class from the opposition just undoes you.
And then he kicks like 3 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly think, like, you remove Bont from the game and we win it. Like, he was that good.
Because the thing is, he was winning the clearances, like, I'm not going to say on his own because Libba had a good game and Trelaw was all right as well. But usually we win the inside game, but like, and then we lose. This time we lost it. And we still lost, but like, it shows that he, really, compared to the previous, teams that we've been versing, he really elevates a midfield, man.
Yeah. I did just want to say one last thing as well is the Dogs had 72 inside 50s and North had 36.
A double.
So anyone who's giving North's defense a bit of shit, like, they did as well as they possibly could have, all things considered.
That's honestly, that's actually incredible effort.
72 inside 50s is ridiculous.
And then when you consider North was in the game the entire time, like, hats off to North, mate. And again, I'll just say as well.
Does that just mean that Bulldogs are just stupid?
No, I don't think so. I think the North boys
I
put in a
think
good shift.
there's probably a little bit of maybe their forward structure's a bit but you can't, if you're facing that much ball, the defense has to be good to not concede 150 at that rate.
At the very least, you can't blame them.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, yeah. That's a pretty decent, little spot to be. Can't blame you guys,
Imagine facing 72 balls flying in. Come on, man. You're going to concede some goals.
I'd love it, mate. My
You'd
stats would be huge.
Yeah, true.
George's
true.
intercepts, mate.
Is that another kick in?
Yeah, that's right.
Run out the box, that's 25 kicks from Georgie.
Absolutely, man. George would love it.
I reckon if we were to do like our own team, Georgie would take kick-ins, I reckon.
No,
I think 100% I'd be.
we played footy at the park. There's no way me or you are taking kick-ins, Matsa.
Nah. Georgie's got a pinpoint.
Yeah.
Pinpoint kicking.
Matsa's in and under in the contest. And I'm just like the little, what's his name for Geelong?
I'm an uncontested player.
Who's that Geelong forward, the skinny guy? What's his name?
Close.
Yeah, I'm close.
Yeah, he's close. Georgie's Nick Martin.
Yeah, I'm Nick Martin for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just want to say one more thing. LDU hasn't played for the last month or so.
Where is the kid?
He's coming back after our bye. He could have played this week. So just watch this space with North's midfield. But no, that's all the games this week, boys. So shorter week this week, a lot of buys, and next week will be the same.
Yeah. So before we head on to the tips, I just wanted to ask you guys a question. And I told you about this pre-pod, so you can have a little bit of a chance to think about it. But who has surprised you the most this season? And that can be, a good surprise. Up to you guys. So, do you want me to start you guys off, or?
Yeah, you can start.
All right. So the one that we were talking about earlier was Tim Taranto, right? And him, we knew he was a good player, but he's just elevated his game so much, man. Prolific ball winner, top 5 or top 10 mid now. As I was saying earlier, kicked the same amount of goals as his best goal scoring season, but he's doing it from the midfield, and the season hasn't even finished yet. So this dude, he's actually a really, he's a proper midfielder right now.
He was pick 2 to Andrew McGrath, pick 1, wasn't
Yes. Yeah.
he? Compare the two players now.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
One's been kicked out of the midfield, the other one's been put in.
exactly. Yeah.
I'd need to look back at the tape of that draft year, but how could you possibly project McGrath to be better than Taranto at his size?
Well,
come
McGrath
on.
won Rising Star. Dominated the first year.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because even then, when he won the Rising Star, I was kind of like, I didn't think he was that good. Did you think he was that good at that time?
I think the hype carried him a bit.
It did.
He was such an uneventful Rising Star. He just won, and everyone's like, "Oh, fair enough."
Yeah, the number 1 pick won the Rising Star.
Yeah.
It
was an easy call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, I had one, and this might seem a bit obvious, but I don't think anyone expected Nick Dacos in his second year to be this good and this consistent.
Nah.
We knew he was a good player, obviously, very talented, but this kid's going to have Gary Ablett stat lines. I mean, he's already having a few games like it, but 30 touches and 2 goals is like an expectation at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's crazy.
Yeah, and he hasn't really had an issue with the tag too much like we were expecting.
No.
Like we were thinking he's going to play inside mid and just not, or even wherever he was going to play. He was going to play in the midfield and not get, as much touches as you'd expect because of the tag, but hasn't happened really.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even start him in our Supercoach team.
How disgusting is that?
That shows
How
that we
disgusting
didn't
is
even.
that?
I did.
We
You
thought,
did,
nah,
there we go.
the
So
kid would
you
get
weren't
tagged out.
surprised.
Yeah, you liar. You liar on the pod.
Well, he was... No, but that's the thing, though. He was like, oh, should I pick him or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
He wasn't a lock. I
That's
just
right.
decided to trust him,
Yeah.
and then look at what happened.
We're
it's
like,
crazy.
nah,
he's gonna get tagged out again.
Second year blues.
He's going to average 85.
Now he's a
Yeah.
lock forever for the next 10 years on
True.
Supercoach.
100%.
Absolutely, man.
Crazy.
You got any, Georgie?
Look, I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm just gonna say it.
Oh, here we go.
Zach Butters, mate.
Hey.
All right, hey,
I know
your
we
boy.
picked obvious ones, but I was like, oh, I won't do Zach Butters. I'll do something a bit more original. But then he won the coaches' votes again. He's 13 clear of Dacos.
Yeah.
We know Zach Butters is good, but are you telling me that at the start of the season you thought Zach Butters was going to be the best player in the comp, leading the coaches' votes pretty much after the bias by 13?
Did he get most?
No,
Did he
man.
get them all this week as well?
Yeah.
And that's crazy because he only had 19 touches, didn't he?
Well, he still kicked the goal, had 10 clearances.
That's what I mean, though. Even on lower touches, he's getting noticed.
High impact player.
Right, I think he's winning the Brownlow, man. He's not slowing down. Port's winning games.
Yeah, true. In a good team, he's best on ground most weeks.
You didn't see him at the start of the season being centre point of the midfield and the most dominant player in the comp. There's no way.
Nah, no way. That's a fair call, man. Good pick, man. Next one that I've got is Caleb Daniel. Out of nowhere, man. He's really... I shouldn't say out of nowhere, but I didn't expect him to go from, okay player, or... He was sort of he was never really elite. He was just floating thereabouts, right? This year, he's just been dividing his time between the midfield and the defense. He's getting CBAs at 165 centimeters, which is probably never happened since the 50s or something. So yeah, he's doing really well. His disposal efficiency as well is elite at 78%. And when you're doing it from the guts, not just from half back, that's a huge impact on a team.
I really noticed it, obviously, watching them the full game this week. And I'm like, man, someone stop this guy. He's clean. He gets the ball. He evades tackles. Like, it's a bit of a nightmare matchup when you've got like Bont in there 194 and then you've got Daniel 168. Like, you don't know what to do as a midfield.
True.
It's crazy.
No, that's very cool. I think like obviously he's an All-Australian defender, but he's kind of been kind of meh over the last couple of years, and kind of mid of this year just kind of transformed into like the monster that he used to be. So
The monster 165
he's
centimeter.
a monster, man.
Dude, yeah.
He's a monster, man.
Yeah,
like
that's
some of
pretty
these,
cool.
it's like he's getting like close to 40 possessions. He's a freak.
Yeah.
Unreal. I've got one more actually. I was going to pick on Steele and say my bad surprise of the year, but we already had a sook about Jack Steele before.
Yeah, we have.
But Harry Shearswell, I know obviously being a North fan, I was following the draft as closely as you possibly could. Like, I'm streaming, the NAB League matches and really getting into it. And I did not see this type of player coming. I was expecting like Josh Richarley, 15 touches, might kick 5 one game, he will have an impact. But then obviously he's been playing like halfback, midfield. He has games where he goes forward, kicks a few. Like, you just look at this kid getting 30 touches and you're not surprised anymore already into his career. And I did not see this coming at all.
Yeah, he hasn't played a game where he's like every game he's played he's looked super comfortable.
Yeah.
Super clean, impact player. Like, he hasn't really made any obvious mistakes, hasn't looked out of it once.
I think he might win our best and fairest this year, to be honest. Like, maybe Nick Larkey will be up there. He always, gathers the coaches' votes, but I wouldn't be surprised if he won.
He'll be
Sid
top.
Barker.
He should be top 3.
Well, LDU's out a big chunk. Simpkins not been that great.
I was going to say they were top 2 last year and they've missed,
Yeah.
a month of footy between, actually, like each,
Yeah.
I'd say. So, yeah, that's a fair call, man. Sheasel in his first year, best and fairest. I'm happy to see it, to be honest
I
with
wouldn't
you.
be surprised, man. He would be right up there, top 3, easy.
And you know what? I don't even think that would be like, I don't think that would make us look bad either, that he's done that. That our first year player
We
has
look
done
like
it.
geniuses.
We would look like geniuses because we drafted him and then we got another one in Wardlaw.
On that note, actually, I did just want to say, and I was meant to say this the other week, but ever since Wardlaw debuted and I've seen Wardlaw and Sheasel play together, not only do I forgive Jason Horne-Francis, I actually want to fly to Adelaide and give him a hug. Like, me and him, best friend of the pod, Jason Horne-Francis.
Jason Horne-Francis, friend of the pod.
Who
would have thought?
What a story arc.
Best friend of the pod. You
What a
couldn't
story
write
arc.
this script any better.
I know. And we've got another pick, man. It's going to be like pick 18 or 19
Hey,
or
man.
something.
Jason,
That's fine.
Mate,
That's cool.
you are forever a friend of the AFL Enjoyers.
That is that. I think we're gonna have to talk about this at some point. But that's probably one of the biggest win-win scenarios.
Yeah.
Like
I
from
think
a
it's
trade.
definitely win-win, man.
Well,
Because
TBD
the guy's going to be a monster as well.
Oh yeah.
TBD on who North drafts with that pick that we got for him as well. But I would argue our 2 are better, but
Yeah.
it is a win-win for Port as well.
I think we got to look at the other teams that are involved in the draft as well and how did they fare? Because so far, GWS number 1 pick Cadman. Obviously, he's a young guy and he's going to take a bit of time, but we haven't seen the immediate, impact that our guys has made, that Horne-Francis has made, and I think West Coast in that deal ended up with Jimby. So they did all right, and they probably got something else as well, but I can't really remember what it was.
We'll do a review at the end of the year of all the trades that happened and free agent pickups and see, how everything panned out. But
Yeah, but so far that trade is for 2 clubs has gone really well.
oh yeah, for sure. Well, that's the last I've got. Do you guys have another one you want to throw in there?
You mentioned best and fairest, and I'll go with the Blues and say Adam Chera has surprised me a bit.
Okay.
Because he's a lock for best and fairest for Carlton at the moment. He's by far been our best midfielder. I mean, he was a good player, but I don't know if people really expected him to become this strong of a midfielder. I think he was always seen as like the third to the Sarong Brayshaw, but I would say that he's right up there with Sarong this year. I think he's been exceptional. So I'm you're saying most surprised. I didn't expect him to kind of reach this level because I think he's our best midfielder. And that's talking about with Walsh and Cripps in the team as well. So I'm happy with Chera, and I think that he's winning our best and fairest this year. So it's a bit of a surprise.
Good call. Last one, Kieran Briggs. Kieran
yeah.
Briggs, man. His clearances is elite amongst ruck players.
It's because he
and-
takes it out of the ruck and just kicks it, man.
That's it, man. He's so huge, man. Another thing was his hit outs to advantage percentage and also his score involvements, also above average for rucks. So that's huge, man.
Yeah, no, he's been massive. I think he's averaging like 113 in Supercoach, like ranking points wise.
Yeah, man. For whoever
like
has
6
him,
games.
whoever has him would be pretty happy, I reckon.
It's funny how you can have all these like flashy ruckmen like Tim English, Rowan Marshall getting 20 touches, and then you just put this big bloke in there. It's always going to be effective.
Yeah, I know.
You can't not be effective when you're that big. Cool. All right. Well,
I was gonna say some good answers there, boys.
Yeah.
Well done. Thank you for embracing that one.
Matt's surprise segment of the week is always good.
I love it.
I'll wait for
It jays me up, man. I love doing it.
Good stuff. Now, let's just quickly do some letter grades for the teams on the bye this week. So the last bye round, thankfully, Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide Crow, as in their grade.
What's their grade for
I
the
think
year?
they're an A minus.
Yeah, B.
That minus came in a bit late there, George.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say no because I was like it's like B. It's
Remember,
B.
Adelaide weren't good last year.
Yeah, that's fair call.
I'll go A
Actually, they're
minus as
eighth.
well.
They are eighth.
They were not like. Remember, only a couple of years ago they were like a shocking team.
Yeah, you know, we'll give them. I'll give them an A. I'll give them an A.
Minus.
And what about the Pies? Got to be an A plus,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Move on.
I move on. Yeah.
Bombers.
Yeah, you got to give them an A, I think, as well.
Bombers.
They're
where are
sixth.
they? Oh, yeah, absolutely, man.
You have to.
That's A plus, man. I thought they were going to be bottom four. Did we not do this?
We had them second last.
Did we
but
not do these last week?
No, we did
No, okay.
last week's bye last week.
we had different teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hawks. Wait, did we not do this? Maybe we
No.
did.
This feels familiar because I feel like I said that.
Were they
same
not different
thing.
teams?
Let's just go through
Let's
them
just
now.
keep going.
Let's just
keep
go
going.
through them now, just in case we didn't. But I'm sure I said Essendon. I said that thing about Essendon, the same thing
Because we
last
said
week.
then the Hawks like, oh, recent form, I'll give him this.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, we've already done this. But thank you, Dina, for making sure we cover all bases.
Hang on.
Good to know
Oh,
we've
you
got-
know why? No, sorry, I was in the wrong round. So start again.
Come
start
on,
again.
man.
So
Come
your
on.
port notes were from last week.
No,
as
here we
well?
go. Carlton.
Carlton.
Carlton's on the bye.
Oh, that's like a D.
That makes more sense.
D minus.
I think as low as you can get.
It's not an F. Oh, is it an F?
It's an F. It's a fail.
It's
yeah.
a D. It's a D at least. I'm gonna give him a D.
I'll give him an F plus.
F plus.
I'll give him F minus.
Yeah, D.
All right, North Melbourne.
North Melbourne.
C.
I'm gonna give it a C plus purely because even though it's been bad, we've turned it around a little bit, and I feel really confident with the young guys that we have. Going
I'll
forward.
join you on the C plus. Wait, did you say
Yeah, C plus.
C plus? Yeah, I'll join you on that. Port Adelaide A plus.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Tigers.
Well, they're ninth at the moment. It's not terrible.
I'm still going to go C plus. I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah,
I'll give him a
same.
B.
Fair
minus.
B. I'll give him a B minus as well.
Just lay
I'm
with
good
the minus, George.
that. Make up your mind.
Doggies.
Doggies, they're actually doing pretty good this year. A minus for them. Actually, no. Whoa.
Nah, come on, man.
I just looked at them. I thought they were doing better. Nah.
B.
They're gonna get a
minus.
B. They got a B for
I'll
me.
go B as well. And then we've got the last one, the Giants. Indifferent team.
Who cares?
That's it's like C minus.
How are you
D
meant to rate
plus.
these guys?
I'll go C for the Giants.
Yeah, C.
Yeah.
New coach.
Yeah.
I'll give him some benefit as
C
well.
minus.
I want some more from them.
Okay. Last bye round, so round 15, Thursday night footy here again. The Cats hosting the D's at GMHBA.
Oh, that's an interesting game. I'm gonna go Melbourne.
Yeah,
but-
Melbourne.
I'll go Melbourne. Dangerfield's out as well.
And Oliver should be back.
Oliver should be back. Yeah, they've got enough. The Saints are hosting the Lions at Marvel on Friday night.
It's another interesting
I'm
game.
going Saints. Purely for the Marvel factor.
I'm gonna join you.
I'm gonna go on my own with Brizzy then, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah,
I think Brisbane away from home. We've seen it enough times.
fair enough.
We've seen this story before.
We've seen this story before. Man.
I think Dunkley best on in a loss.
That's just he's always best on regardless.
Yeah, true. He's
The
a
king
star.
of Marvel, mate.
King of
the king of Marvel.
You thought you were gonna let
is
that comment slide?
He's Cam Zohar, mate. Take it easy.
Swans hosting the Eagles at the SCG.
Just move on,
It's
bro.
got to be the Swans.
Yep.
Imagine they lost that. Oh.
That'd be exceptional. But,
And they're gonna have a.
but
they're
at the
gonna-
SCG, man,
Longmire will pull whatever hair is left out of his head if they lose that game, bro.
they can't lose that game. It's like it's not possible.
He's gonna have to get a trimmer. It's like this has got to come out. Can't have it.
Oh, jeez.
I'd love it if they did, but
Yeah,
no, not happening.
Props no.
And the Dockers are hosting the Bombers at Optus Stadium.
I can't tip against the Bombers, man. They're playing good
I'm gonna
footy.
go Dockers, man. They've got to respond from whatever the hell that was.
They do need a
Ooh.
response.
Come on, man. That was not a football game.
I think they do need to respond, but they'll still lose.
But at home,
Yeah, I think they'll lose by just a couple goals.
Essendon, they're not a bad side, man. They're sixth right now. They're very
I reckon Dockers will win.
2 meter Peter, who's going to stop him, mate? Alex
Exactly.
Pearce, come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
True, 2 meter Peter, yeah.
2 meter Peter versus 192 Alex Pearce, come on, man.
192. 189. Alex Pierce, nah,
Is Alex Pearce there? Oh no, you got Brennan Cox.
Yeah. No, Alex Pierce is taller than that.
No one's matching up on 2 meter, mate.
No,
He's 2
you're
meter,
right.
yeah.
He's 2 meter.
Yeah.
The Pies are hosting the Crows at the MCG.
Yeah, Pies.
The Pies won at Adelaide Oval. They're not going to win at MCG.
I'd love for the Crows to prove that they're a good team, like a genuine top 8 team, but there's every chance they lose this game and then they fall out of the 8. So rough for them, but I think that's probably what's going to happen. And then the Suns are hosting the Hawks.
At Heritage Bank Stadium.
Yeah, that's their home ground.
Is that? Oh, that it's not Metricon.
Metricon got bought out, didn't it?
Oh,
Are they not a bank anymore? Were they a bank?
No, Metricon make
Metricon's-
houses.
Yeah, they're the home.
Construction, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no construction nowadays.
Yeah,
everyone's
fair
bankrupt,
they're all folding.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one, though. I mean, the Hawks can beat.
No, they won't win at
Can
home.
beat
They
them.
won't win at home. It's too humid, bro.
Yeah,
You know what?
Gold Coast because of the humidity. I have to go with them because of the humidity.
You know what? Yeah, and Sicily's out, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
let's go the Suns.
That's so good that so 3 matches, right? That means Carlton is going to verse Hawks without Sicily. Free win, baby.
Free win. Oh, don't get ahead of yourself.
Settle down there, man.
Settle
Free
down,
win.
mate. Cool, boys. I think that is it for today. Now, I did just want to say we're on 96 subs at time of recording. Bo McCreary is stretching as we speak because he will race George
George will race Bo McCreary.
when we hit 100 subs.
I've been running recently.
There you go.
My hammies are so tight, man. I know we said it, but they're so tight.
You just need to run 100 meters.
No more excuses,
They're
bro.
so tight.
I've had enough.
2 hour subs, unsubscribe, man. I'm not going to I'm not going to beat him, this guy.
Don't listen to him, please don't.
Unsubscribe,
Please
bro.
don't listen to him.
It's just you need to get through 100 meters. We're not asking for much. 100 meters against Bo
Mate,
McCreary.
he's so much faster than me. Like, God did not create everyone equal. It's going to be obvious with me and Bo McCreary.
I think you're selling yourself short.
He's going to lap me.
Have you not seen our,
100 meters.
Have you not seen our intro video, mate? Those jets are unmatched.
Yeah, Georgie's
Right.
jets are huge, man.
So anyway, if you
Yeah.
haven't subbed already, please give us a sub so we can hit 100 and Bo and George can go at it one-on-one in a race, 100 meters.
Let's do it.
But otherwise, yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. The socials are on the screen. Just follow us and like us on all of those. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys, mate.